What is up, everybody? Skratch coming up with another Raid Shadow Legends video. Welcome to the Monday kickoff, guys. As usual, we have everyone's favorite game mode starting tomorrow. Now, this time around, we're gonna have personal rewards. Nothing really changed in here. And in terms of the gear that we are getting for tier 3, 4, 5, and 6, we're getting a Reflex piece and 2 Savage. That's definitely much better than Lifesteal or whatever other gear they're giving us. Now, Plarium just released some freaking amazing news. Juicy stuff. Basically, we're gonna get to have a look at the new boss for this new dungeon that's gonna be coming in with the next patch, with the Awakening. So you know what? Let's jump straight into it. No freaking time to waste whatsoever.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of our update preview series dedicated to Awakening. Our last episode discussed the new mechanics of summoning souls and getting blessings for your champions. And today, we're delving deep into the Iron Twins Fortress, a new dungeon where you'll earn the soul coins and soul essence needed for Awakening. This imposing fortress works a little differently to other dungeons. It's divided into the 4 affinities, with its affinity changing each day. Like with the affinity keeps, there will be a set schedule for each day's affinity, meaning you can plan your siege ahead of time. Each affinity will have 15 stages at launch, and your progression is unique to each affinity. This means you can't focus all your efforts getting to stage 15 on the magic affinity. For example, to unlock the stages for all...
So we're gonna have to wait all the time for the new affinity to change in order to be able to go and break the rest of the stages. So we're gonna be able to do six stages from each affinity daily, basically. We can just break 15 stages
other
in a go.
Affinities. Keeping track of the current affinity is vital for success in this dungeon, as you'll see when we break down the Iron Twins skills. As for entering the dungeon, you'll need energy and a new resource, Fortress Keys. Like with Faction Crypts in the Doom Tower, you only get a set number of Fortress Keys each day. 6 to be exact.
Now this sounds promising, this sounds good. Hopefully there'll be no options to purchase these freaking keys. That's the main thing. If they're not selling this, I'll be happy. Hopefully they're not gonna sell the Perfect Souls and the other things. But hey, a man can dream, right? A man can dream.
So make sure you use them. If you fail a stage, you won't lose a Fortress Key, but you will lose the energy. So keep an eye on your reserve.
Make sure you're not losing, because if you're losing, your energy is bye-bye, but the key, no.
We know how to enter the fortress. Now let's talk about its masters, the Iron Twins. As soon as you enter the dungeon, you launch straight into a battle with the Iron Twins. There are no waves of minions to fight here. This is a good thing.
No waves of minions, that's great. Mostly when we are going and fighting bosses, right? We have to consider that, okay, we gotta kill the minions, the waves, before we get at the boss. So our team needs to kind of like be prepared for everything. This time around, we can purely focus just on the boss, which is good.
Given that the Iron Twins are as tough as literal nails, you know, being a huge metal monstrosity. But before we dive into the Iron Twins' individual skills, we need to talk about Iron Brand, their unique unblockable and unremovable debuff.
You can block it, you can now remove it. So Cleanser's immunity will be pretty pointless. But hey, they haven't said nothing about resisting it. So I feel like resistance might be the key, might be the almighty thing to tackle this monster. So let's see.
On its own, Iron Brand does nothing, but you should keep a sharp eye on the debuffs.
So 2 champions, they don't have it. Either they just randomly got resisted. I see they're both magic champions. So the boss actually either got weak hits on them or something like that. But either way, 2 champions, they don't have it there. So resistance or stuff like that will be the key to tackle their debuff.
On each of your champions. The Iron Twins have a super powerful skill that does major damage depending on the current duration of any Iron Brand debuffs. So failing to manage this debuff is a recipe for disaster. With that out of the way, let's dig into exactly what the Iron Twins have in their arsenal. The first skill is Voltaic Pendulums. This sees the Iron...
My god, this is a massive wall of attacks. Decrease crit rate, weaken, decrease attack, decrease defense. Jesus, Luis. Jesus.
Iron Twins firing 2 bladed pendulums at 1 champion, decreasing their crit rate and then placing a weaken debuff if they already have crit rate debuffs.
Okay.
The twins then electrocute the rest of the party, first decreasing their attack, before then decreasing the defense of each champion who has a decrease attack debuff on them. Talk about shocking. So
again, here you can have cleansing, you can have block debuffs constantly on to avoid these debuffs, and I feel like resistance, decrease accuracy on the boss, increase resistance on your team. These champions that do this sort of buffs, debuffs, will definitely see a value surge, depending on your account, of course. But I feel like they'll be very powerful against it.
First tip, bring a champion who can cleanse debuffs or block them entirely. While it won't negate Iron Brand, it will take any other debuffs the Iron Twins can throw at you off the table. Trust us, you'll need to be at your full strength if you want to come out on top. Next up, Fires of Insanity.
Jesus, another wall of text. Iron Brand everywhere. Jeez.
The Iron Twins scorch your entire party and place Iron Brand debuffs on each champion, with the duration of each Iron Brand dependent on each champion's defense stat. The champion with the highest defense gets 10 turns of Iron Brand. The next highest gets 9, the next gets 8, and so on. If a champion already has an Iron Brand debuff on them, its duration is simply increased by that same number of turns. That's not all. Oh no. Every time the Iron Twins use this skill, their defense stat increases by a set amount for the rest of the battle, with extra increases for every champion with a different affinity to theirs.
So you want to make sure you're bringing in the right affinities. If they're going to take a lot of turns, they're going to get so much defense, especially if you have wrong affinities against Spirit, for example. Like right here, he has three different champions from different affinities. That's actually a problem, because every time he uses this skill, we'll get 3% extra, which can actually add up to a lot, right?
This is why you need to pay attention to the dungeon's current affinity. Bring champions with the wrong affinities, and you'll make the Iron Twins even stronger. And they'll keep getting stronger every time they use this skill. You also need to manage your champion's defense stats, as those with higher stats will receive longer Iron Brand debuffs. Remember, the longer the duration of Iron Brand, the more damage the Iron Twins will do with their super-powered skill, which we're getting to, I promise. There is one silver lining at least. Once the Iron Twins drop below 40% HP, they'll stop using the skill, though getting them to that point is a different story. Okay, skill 3, Ruinous Swath. Ruinous Swath.
Another one. Look at all that text in each one of the skills. They do so much stuff. It's just crazy.
Mirrors Fires of Insanity, except this skill applies Iron Brand based on your champion's attack rather than their defense. The champion with the highest attack gets the longest Iron Brand this time. It's the same story with the Iron Twins stat increases. Every time they use this skill, they'll get stronger. But this time, it's their attack that gets boosted rather than their defense.
So basically, it's not going to be only for, let's just say you bring in tank champions. You're going to bring in damage dealers. You're going to bring damage dealers based on defense or on attack. Either way, they're actually going to get affected, you know, including the boss. Maybe HP champions will play a more important role on this boss, since nothing seems to kind of like affect it as much, you know. But still, the boss will get the buffs anyway, regardless, because all of them, they have a defense or attack, you know.
The Twins will also stop using the skill when their HP drops below 40%. Okay, so you have all these Iron Brand debuffs. Let's finally discuss this super-powered skill which puts them to use. Enter Doomsday Machine, the Iron Twins' 4th skill. To start, the Iron Twins attack your entire team with 2 AoE hits.
Oof.
The first hit applies or extends any Iron Brand debuffs based on each champion's defense, with the second doing the same but based on attack. Think of it like the 2 previous skills rolled into one. Fortunately, it will increase the duration of Iron Brand by fewer turns. The champion with the highest attack or defense will get 5 turns of Iron Brand.
So basically, every skill increases the duration, and then he deals more damage the higher the duration of the debuff. That's pretty freaking crazy. You definitely need to have resistance in here or something if that blocks it. They haven't really said anything about resistance actually yet.
The next highest will get 4, the next highest 3, and you get the picture. But remember, it does this twice. So if one champion has more attack and defense than the rest of your team, they'll receive another 10 turns of Iron Brand. The Iron Twins then fire a devastating laser at your entire team, with the damage of this energy beam increasing based on the duration of each Iron Brand debuff. If that's not scary enough, this searing ray ignores 30% of your champion's defense stat.
Nice.
And it also increases the Iron Twins' attack and defense by 4% with each use, plus an extra little bit once again for any champions whose affinity is different to theirs.
You see, if you're bringing in the wrong affinity, there are already 3 skills that get attack, defense, attack, defense. That's gonna be so overpowered. That's why we're gonna need to create the right teams to bring in the right affinities for each one of these bosses. If no, I feel like they're gonna become so freaking powerful.
Holy moly. That's some
Guacamole.
serious damage. Also, just as a little reminder that Iron Brand cannot be blocked or removed, hopefully now you understand why managing Iron Brand is vital to succeeding in this fight. Otherwise, you'll be sweeping up what remains of your champions with a broom. There's still one more weapon in the Iron Twins' arsenal, and that's their passive skill, Retaliatory Launch. Every time their HP drops below a certain threshold, the Twins fire a missile barrage at your whole team and remove any debuffs from themselves.
So they deal damage, they cleanse themselves as well. Kind of like the Ice Golem. He has kind of like a tick that activates one of his passives. So it's going to be the same thing here.
Twins will also increase their turn meter by 10% every time one of your champions receives a buff, unless they're under a decreased speed debuff.
You heard that. Decreased speed will be mandatory here. If not, every time you buff a champion, they're gonna get 10% turn meter for each freaking buff on each one of your champions. That means that if you don't have decreased speed on this boss constantly and you're buffing, that boss is gonna overlap you like crazy, okay? He's gonna get to use his freaking skills so often.
Similar to other bosses, they are immune to turn meter reduction effects, along with crowd control debuffs like stun and freeze. They also take less and less damage from multi-hit skills. That armor's not made of normal iron, we'll tell you that much. So, what's the best way to send this killing machine?
So, multi-hits, Kurtraxa, Coldheart's A1, Xavier's A1, all these champions that do multi-hits will be less effective against the boss.
To the scrap heap? First, you'll need to build separate teams for each affinity. The more champions with differing affinities, the stronger the Iron Twins will get from many of its skills. So aim for single affinity teams where you can. Second, resistance is your friend. While Iron Brand can't be blocked or removed, it can be resisted.
That's the good part. Now you do have the 3% chance of getting resisted without resistance, the 3% chance to get debuff even if you have resistance. And the whole idea behind it is that decreased accuracy on the boss will be key. Increase resistance on your team will be key, but that depends on what sort of player you are. Where is your account at? Are you super advanced, where you don't really care, you can get 600 resistance without a problem, then you have a resistance aura, then you might not need any of those buffs, debuffs, which is not sure yet because we don't know what sort of stats the boss will have, but I feel like this will be kind of like mandatory for a lot of you guys out there. Decreased speed is 100% a must.
So load your champions up with high resistance artifacts to blunt the power of Doomsday Machine. Third, while healing is important to survive the Twins' onslaught, be mindful of buffs. Unless you've placed a decreased speed debuff on the Twins, they'll increase their turn meter every time your champion receives a buff, meaning they're closer to taking you out. Fourth, and most importantly, focus on hitting hard and hitting fast. With the Twins' attack and defense constantly ticking up, they will
So, I can already tell you, enemy max HP is gonna be kept, okay? Coldheart, she is efficient because of her A3. Septimus will be coming back into business for Spirit Affinity. Royal Guard for Magic. Husk for Force. They're gonna be the key champions that deal damage. We're gonna have Ethos. We're gonna have Rotos. Champions that hit extremely hard with a single hit. Phoenix. He has one hit. Now, I'm not sure how Phoenix, how Candraphone are coded. If the extra hit is considered as a multi-hit or is considered as a single hit, but champions like this will definitely be very effective against this boss. Single hits that deal tons and tons of damage.
Overpower you if you let
Poisons,
them kick into
maybe.
overdrive.
Who knows?
Don't bother with multi-hit skills either. Single-hit nukes are your best countermeasure for toppling this devastating duo. We can't wait to see what ironclad strategies you all employ to take on this new dungeon. We hope this video was useful. Make sure to hit like, check out our previous...
Okay, so that was it for the boss, guys. Wow, right? Let me know in the comments down below, what are your thoughts on the boss? You think he's gonna be super overpowered? Do you think it's gonna be extremely hard to deal with it? We've seen all the skills now. Of course, being part of my job to prepare you guys, keep an eye for the next few videos in the next few days, because I'll be dropping some videos to prepare you for this boss. I'm gonna talk about different strategies. I'm gonna talk about different champions that you could potentially use to tackle this freaking new monster. But that was all for this video. Much love, appreciate all of you guys watching, and if you guys enjoyed the content, don't forget to smash that like, subscribe for more videos, and I'll catch you all soon in the next one. Peace.